Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Tuesday, day before FOMC. Bank of Japan rate hike last night. How you doing, everyone? Yeah, the channel's just getting nuked. It really, YouTube also really doesn't like Bob and Jim's guests. So, I mean, I like Bob and Jim's guests, but YouTube really does not. So it's harder and harder to find. We'll make a change. Maybe we'll just go to Rumble or something after I move. Not making any changes before I move, but we'll figure it all out. We will figure it all out. Sterling, thank you for putting all the housing starts and everything in there. Yeah, I saw that yesterday. Uh, Possible interference. 16 out of 41 elections over the last 16 years. I'm glad you got that off your chest, Sterling. SMCI, by the way, has a triggered double top doing an equity offering. Good morning, Mark. Good morning. What else do we have in here? Now, remind me to look at SMCI, but I haven't brought it up on the channel much, but it does have a triggered double top. Bank of Japan, it was viewed as, so the people who thought it was a no-brainer that the yen was going to strengthen, this was viewed as, that's why. It doesn't matter what you think, it's what the market does. It was viewed as a dovish hike and that they're not going to hike again this year. I think you put that in here too, yeah. So there you go. So it was a dovish hike, and the yen weakened. The yen weakened. So when we're looking at it, it would rally. The futures market would have declined. What else do we have? Good morning, Patrick. Where else? Where I gotta get through some of this. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Anissa. Good morning, Heinrich. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, McRangers. Hey, thanks for tuning in, McRangers. Options 22. I don't. Did I skip Tesla for you yesterday? I still have to get to Tesla. I got to get that for options 22. Good morning, Charles. I'm sorry about that. If I forget, just you got to remind me. I'm sorry. I don't mean to overlook something. Sometimes I get caught up in things. Let's just get straight to it. Again, nothing much. We had housing starts coming out. Uh, Pretty decent numbers for the housing starts. We had Red Book still holding up. Then the rest of the day, we have a 52-week bill auction, 20-year bond auction, uh, and not much. So, because everything you got, the VIX up a bit. I mean, implied. That's why we look at the VIX. It's a surrogate for market implied volatility, and that's up ahead of tomorrow's FOMC meeting, which is going to be the big one. The big thing this week. Little different than yesterday. Remember how much, I mean, Google's still up, but that was absurd little bounce yesterday off the rumors. The market just wants to find things. Nvidia had their big presentation yesterday with the CEO, and it looks like, I mean, they announced a number of things, and chips are getting sold. So it's to sell the news. Nothing that was the market took as impressive selling Nvidia post that. And the other mega caps, Apple and Google just slightly up, and the other mega caps down. Tesla had a little rally back to some key resistance yesterday. If you look at the groups, again, very different from yesterday. Technology leading it down. Everything negative going into the open so far. Everything negative being led down by technology. And Fed Watch tool still has the three hikes. Nothing's really changed. The key thing I'm watching is June. June, especially tomorrow, to see if this pops up. It depends again on the dot plots. That's going to be an important release tomorrow. Fear and greed, still at the upper end of greed. All right. All right. Good morning, Legion Reaver. Good morning, Eric. You've got to be kidding me. I can't figure it out. Oh, I'm too old for this market. We had XPeng this morning, and there's really nothing. Today is nothing in terms of earnings. Remember, tomorrow we got General Mills I'll look at because of the inflation aspects and passing it on to the consumer. But then we have Micron after the close. That's probably the biggest thing tomorrow in KB Home. Then the bigger is after Thursday. We've already talked about that, but let's get the FOMC out of the way first. Can see the little rally yesterday popped above the 62.5, popped above the 75, and then look at the closing though. Could not sustain a close above the 62.5, so rejected again. So now today I'm favoring I mean, anything can happen, but with no real news coming out, I'm favoring a choppier day going into the FOMC. Still going to be looking at these key harmonic levels. So on a rally, I'm really watching about 52.05 to 52.07 is the first level of key resistance. Then 52.12, 52.13, and then the big one, 52.20. 52.20, you see we had the pop above it on the 1 hour, stalling out, then the pop to it again in the 62.5, and then fading. So this was earlier today. This was yesterday. So that was Friday, sorry. Here was yesterday in the morning, the little pop above it, and then could not sustain anything. The 4 hour, you can see we did get the close just briefly above it. A nice little spike, and then the fade into it. Key support I'm looking at is about 51.80 to 51.82. If we do break down below that, it's 51.70. And then we have 51.57. Again, I'm expecting a choppier day overall. So testing key support, testing key resistance. If we look at the weekly, just going into the FOMC tomorrow, again, we look at all the selling pressure above about 5,200. So here's your 5,200 level. And so 3 weeks in a row. So I mean, we're 2 weeks, 2 days into this, but look at all the selling pressure. So I don't forget the bigger picture with still weekly cycles at the top. We could easily pull back to 5,100 without even disrupting the bullish pattern. Now, I'm watching for a more significant multi-week pullback, but the first key target is at 5,100 on any pullback play, especially after the FOMC. Looking at the NASDAQ, levels to the downside, we've already hit about this 1880 area. 1880 to about 1865 is key support. We break below that. We're at the lows from last Friday, this 18,000, 18,006 to be exact, but 18,000. We break below that. We're looking about 17,900 to 17,920. To the upside, key on any bounce. Again, choppier day is what I'm watching out for. So the first level of resistance I'd look to test would be this 18,170 to about 18,180. Above there, we're looking at about 18,250 to about 18,263. And then we go to 18,350 is major resistance. And we're still in a downward flagging pattern. Overall, I think I got dueling. That doesn't look very good. Oh boy. On the NASDAQ, on the bigger picture, you see even back from the end of February close. So you spiked up first week in March, spiked up last and closed lower, spiked up last week. So any selling pressure above this 18,335 area, major selling pressure. So that is going to be very key to watch. And look, we've flattened really out. We're starting to do a rounded top in the NASDAQ. Similar to the Dow starting to do a rounded top also. So this is already breaking, we're getting the bare minimum support. So if we really start breaking below 17.9, I'm going to be watching for the bigger pullback into the rotation zone at a minimum. Dow, here's what I was talking about. See this starting to get this rounded top, and look at all this. The Dow, if you look, 39,200. 39,200 is the key resistance area. You see how it's rounding out here? Pay very close attention to rounded tops in the equities market. So about 38.8 is going to be a key support level, but that breaks, I'm going to be watching for the bigger pullback here. In the short term, the support is about 39.90 to 39.100, and then majors 38.936. Resistance is 39.275, then about 39.340. The Russell, here's another one. The Russell, look at this. Breaking down now, I'm expecting it as I talked. We've now had yesterday close below the rotation zone. Today follow through. We could probably going to get a second close. Very key support coming in. We have harmonics we have the 50 EMA, and we have the channel lines right around 2020, 2021, especially for tomorrow. If that breaks, and then you have right below that the 50% retracement. The key level I'm watching post FOMC is 1986. But today, on any rally, we have 2040 and then 2050 are the two key levels of support. Minor is 2030 and 2020. That's just the way the numbers work out. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Martinez. VIX elevated today, not necessarily because of the sell-off. I mean, we opened higher yesterday and sold down a bit with the rally, but still popping up, and this is due to heading into the FOMC, not necessarily the pullback in the market so far. But I'll be watching more so on choppy bearish if we start accelerating above 1475 today, and if we start dropping below 1450, more of a choppy bullish day. DAX, not much to talk about, still holding that key 18,185 to 18,200 support. On a rally, 18,350 is resistance. The notes, not much to talk about here, not expecting a lot of movement, but I will be watching yesterday's high and low as the key area. Remember, these will move more so with the dot plots on Wednesday. 10-year rallying up above the 87.5 yesterday into the prior toppy area. Remember, we had selling pressure in here. If you see, I draw a line here on the 10-year yield. Look, topped out there like 3 or 4 times, spike above, and then reversed. And so far, if you do candlestick math, this is a spike reversal if you add these two candles together. So going to be really interested to see how we close in relation to 4.32 today. Still not hit that first target. We'll skip some stuff. Dollar index, going to be watching the 103.60 area. We spiked up into that. So that's going to be key for this bounce to continue. Remember, it's in the rollover zone with the euro completed the double top, and the Bank of Japan, the yen weakening, helped the dollar take off, but it's really got to get that close now above 103.60. Crude getting more and more toppy up here with cycles at a top and very overbought. Key support now coming in about 80.80 to 80.81. So this is definitely an area trying to roll up here, but you can really start watching if this gets it. This has little, not yet in double top territory, but if it gets in double top that breaks below this base, the 81.80, we could be in for that little pullback. Other than that, even that mini pullback goes into the daily rotation zone. Gold, not much to talk about. Gold will probably get a move on tomorrow. We'll see. Doubt it will take out yesterday's high with a follow-through close. That would be a % beat buy, but we're still could set up for another one going into tomorrow. So that's what I'm watching there. Copper, big reversal off the 75. Looks though we've broken out, so 404 is the key support there. The yen, man, there are a lot of people, if they hike, it's very going to be hawkish, and the yen's going to roll over and get stronger. Nope, yen got weaker. Going to watch again. We're coming into the prior key high area from Feb to March. If that gets taken out, going to be watching for a retest of the November high area. Not exactly what they wanted to see, but that's what I'm keeping an eye on there. Euro completed the double to the 50% harmonic also. So going to be watching, especially if we start closing now below 108.35. But we've played out the double pattern there. Let me get to spiders real quick. Gap down, so any play to the upside would be to 512.86. Would be my first key target area. The minor area is trading, the minor resistance is about 511.90. Support, we still have watching right about 510.50, and then to the gap fill 509.83. The Qs, we have 435.42. We're looking to open around 436.75, and then the gap fill 437.48 to the upside. To the downside, we have This 436.07 is actually the first key level of resistance I'd look at, then 436.70, and then the gap fill. The support area coming in roughly, we have some key support right around 434.70, and then to the gap fill at 433.92, and then to the retest of the lows from last Friday, which confirmed but did not trigger the double. Tesla. So the insurance numbers that came out of China were not good. A little pop-up yesterday. Here's the first key level of resistance I was paying attention to, this 174.90 to 175. The major level, if you look on the weekly, the major level is up here right around 183.05. And the next, in front of that, we have 182. So we have 182 to 183 on any continued pop-up. But it would shock me if we really got strength above that. Again, we hit the second target finally, so not surprised to see a bounce, but watching it to get out of this oversold condition and then for another rollover play. NVIDIA could not, spiked up to the 62.5 yesterday, could not close above it, and a big reversal off there. In the short term, very strong resistance, 865. We're trading 867. You break down below that, you still have a gap fill to the close on Monday the 11th, which is 857.74. You lose that, it could be in the short term a big rollover for NVIDIA. So I'm keeping a close eye on that. It is getting the cycle bottoms now, but it really has to hold these levels to not break down. What else do we have? Let me just call up SMCI, which triggered the double top here. You can see it here. Triggered that. And now target 923 is gapping below that, but 872 and 821. Just wanted to touch base on that. You asked for Ford. Take a look at Ford. Has triggered a daily weekend inverse head and shoulders. Now is a potential daily weekend double top. Yeah, Ford is a very interesting position. It's at a very interesting position, especially with different patterns going on, and also you have it's created that double top right in the major stall out zone. So that double top has not triggered yet, so it's still a potential. And you can see here on the daily, it works out. It's actually a daily double top because the weeklies go into the tail. So it actually needs just a daily close below 1195. Other than that, it already has a triggered inverse head and shoulders pattern, so it still does favor some upside. But if that were to break down, would not be good for Ford. Because there's actually, if you're using the walk-away trend line strategy on the inverse head and shoulders, if it closes below this trend line, it would also be over. So that's something to keep an eye on. Can we peek at Adobe? What? How did I get that? There we go. It's like that. So Adobe finished its double. And now has, yes, this was, you are correct, bouncing. So this was, you hit the final target on that double, setting up the percent B. And it broke above that yesterday and then followed through with the close. Now remember, this is a short-term bounce pattern. Okay, because you are against the rotation zone now. So from my standpoint, the technical stop the farthest away would be below the low of the percent B bar. However, I'd be paying real close attention to that 503 level again. That essentially was the intraday trigger, trading pre-market gap down. But I'd be watching that, because if you would not, from my perspective, this would be something, since it gapped down, finished the pattern. Yeah, we're at the key harmonic too, but that does not mean it has to fully fill this gap down from the earnings. Okay? Remember, remember, it's coming into very strong resistance, and you can see here, it might not even get out back to 529. So just pay attention to that. Because these are, when they're against these moves, they're for gap plays, they're for quick plays only when you're trading against the rotation zone. All right? So just pay attention to that, because it could carve out a stronger bottom. Remember, this is for the first move. Now, this is going to stall out, and then I'd be watching, if you're trying to find something bullish, I'd be watching for the stronger bottoming pattern than on Adobe. So, also, remember, by the end of the week, I think 85% of companies will be into no buybacks. So we're going to lose that in the market going into next earnings season. Okay, so the buyback window's closing. Other things, Google spiking up. So Google officially put it's not even close to triggering. This may never trigger. It could get invalidated, but Google, keep an eye on that. You had the gap up with the Apple rumor, and then the sell, sort of sell the gap. But that set up a very strong potential double top pattern. So the key low to watch on Google, or Alphabet, I'll always call it Google, is 130.67. I would not want to be, again, can't give trading advice, but I would not want to be holding this if it triggers that double, because this could easily get back to the 200 week. So just pay, that's another thing to keep watching longer term. Apple, you had the little rumor yesterday, that they were going to buy, but again, could not close above, spiked in the rotation zone, closed back down. Running up to this prior low from a gap down, but could not fill it to the close. So I'm going to be paying attention to this channel now breaks down, especially going on through this week. You are welcome, Anissa. Christoph, good morning. Is there a head and shoulders on Bitcoin daily? Hey, Connie, how you doing? Is there a head and shoulders? It's a little sloppy, but I'm also watching for a top. Oh, let me get to head and shoulders of Bitcoin. Yes. This is a head and shoulders. The key level is right here. The key neckline level I would be paying attention to on a closing basis is right around, use this, go to a little conservative, go to 62,800, roughly 62,800. Use the horizontal neckline strategy. So that's what I'd be watching for. Now, if that does trigger, you're roughly looking at a pullback. It could be a full pullback to like 52,000. Let's see what that would look like on the weekly. And it'd be back in the weekly rotation zone fully. So yeah. Now Bitcoin's tough to trade. I'd be looking for it more for pullback patterns, because it's tough to trade with all the shenanigans with Tether. So I'd be watching more for pullback levels, personally. GS holding a tight channel. Then we're going to look at the... Yeah, it is. I'd be paying attention if Goldman breaks below 375 over the next couple days. And this is sort of rounding, this is getting to a rounding top also. See this, how it's rounding out at the prior key resistance area? I'd be paying attention to this if that breaks down. Thank you for pointing that out, Jacob. Sterling, just options market and SMCI are horrible. IV rank of the stock is at 91.7. Oh boy. See, the gambling's back in full control. Gamblers are running the market. Going into the open, we got some bounce coming up. Again, now you're trading into very, very key resistance. This 5203 right up here. So really pay attention to that. If we do get through there, my next key area, I know Christoph thinks we see 13. Yeah, you could easily see 13 if you can sustain above this. It really needs to start sustaining above this going into the open, though, because this is my very key level of resistance. But you do pop above there. Target for me would be about 52.12 to 52.14. Let's see what the trying to push up into the open. We'll pay attention, see where the tick opens today. Where the tick opens in, how long do we have? How long do we have? Just a little more seconds. So, is anybody else, I mean, Sterling announced ahead of time he was having more trouble finding the stream, or other people seeing that same things. And if we are going to change major streaming platforms, does anybody have a preference? Well, we're waiting for the open. There we go. There's the tick. Not very a weak tick. Not really a weak tick. So, but in order to get more bullish where we're going to sustain something above key resistance, it's got to start getting above 400. And if it breaks down minus 400, it's going to be one of those, I believe, the closer narrow range bound day. So let's see if we hold this into the open or if it's going to get rejected. If it gets rejected, pay attention to 5,200. Thank you, McRangers. All right, with that, today it was on your front page. That's good to hear, Charles. Maybe they just don't like you, Sterling. No, it gets hidden a lot for people. All right, thank you for all the new people tuning in. Also, I really, really appreciate it. Remember, I'm watching for that choppier day, especially ahead of FOMC. Also, watch, especially with this rally into the market, how it's going to react back at 5,200, and pay close attention to the VIX. The VIX levels I'm watching are 1450 and 1475 at the open. That's the key, and we're trading right around 1450 right now. I'll talk to everyone tomorrow. Bye for now.